So there is a very big secret that's not so well kept, and the secret is it's cheaper to live in Austin than it is to live in California. I know it's not very well kept these days, and in this video I'm going to talk about the cost of living in Austin versus California, as well as some pros and cons of Austin versus California. So stay tuned. Hey everybody, my name is Frank. I'm part of a team at the award-winning JP Goodwin Brokerage right here in Austin, Texas. We do so many videos of what it's like to live in Austin, Texas, whether they're informative, whether they're vlog style. We cover what it's like to work, eat, sleep, live, play in Austin, Texas. So subscribe to the channel for more and click the like button as it helps us grow. We get reach outs all the time from people moving here from anywhere, many people from California, and we absolutely love it. So be sure to call us, text us, email us any day of the week, any time of day, because we've got your back when moving to Austin, Texas. So let's talk about Austin versus California. So it's well known to a lot of people, especially to us in real estate, that a bulk of the people who move to Texas are from California. On average, apparently 25,000 people leave California every year, most of which to Texas. And it would seem that more and more people are leaving every year. And the number one reason, the cost of living. Now, I could get into all the specific numbers, like if you wanted to live in California versus Austin, you need to make about $15,000 more a year on average, $65K a year, over $50K a year, all that stuff. But I'm not gonna bore you with numbers. I'm just gonna give you an idea of how and why it's just relatively easier to live here with less money. And one of the most glaring statistics that I will use is that the average cost of housing is 59% higher in California than it is here in Austin, Texas. I've seen 3-bed, 2-bath houses in San Francisco, for example, that are $1.3 million. Now here in Austin, depending on where you live, of course, you can find that from the 300s, the 400s and up. Essentially meaning that $1 million here can buy you a mansion, can buy you a ton of square footage, a pool, the best neighborhoods near a golf course if you want, and $1 million in California, depending on where, of course, could buy you an average home. I've even seen people talk about how, you know, $60,000 in Austin, Texas is equivalent to the same lifestyle as 120 in some parts of California. So we're just seeing a huge influx of people coming here for that reason. And it really is a stereotype to some degree. You know, people who are new to Texas, new to Austin specifically, there's a 50-50 chance if you ask them where they're from, they'll say California. And your budget here in Austin can really range with what it can get you. I believe the average home cost right now is, depending on where, I'd say $375 to $450. Of course, the further north you go, the cheaper, the more central you are, the more expensive, but that's your average. That'll buy you a decent house here. So if you're coming from California and your house is $600,000, $800,000, and that's your moving budget, my God, I mean, an $800,000 house here is living in luxury, essentially. So in a nutshell, with what you're paying to live in California, it could potentially buy you the home of your dreams right here in Austin, Texas. And so a lot of people do, and we love to help them do it. And on that note, before we move on, an important factor to keep in mind is that California has the highest state income tax of any state in the United States. Meanwhile, in Texas, we have no state income tax. That's why all the companies are moving here now. Of course, the kicker to having no state income taxes are property taxes. Those sneak up on you, but you can find out more about that in my cost of living video. But just know right off the bat, off the top of my head, you're looking at 2.5 upwards depending on where in Austin you live, but you really won't see it too often below 2% a year, which really adds up. But yeah, no state income tax, going from the highest state in the country to a state that doesn't even have it. Something to keep in mind. All right, moving on to the weather. Now, of course, it's no secret here in Texas that it gets really hot. Now, I've spoken on that quite a few times in the videos we've made, particularly in our weather video and our pros and cons video. But just to touch on it again in this one, the weather here really is nice. What you really just have to look out for is those summer months. June, July, and August in particular, you're going to see triple digits. It's just how it is. And you're gonna have triple digits with that dense, muggy, thick air. Not too humid, but it's not necessarily dry like California either. So if you can make it through those intense summer months, you'll find that September through about April or May, you'll have nice weather, oftentimes in the 70s and 80s. Of course, it'll creep into the 90s sometimes, and if it's the winter time, you'll get it maybe in the 40s. But real quick, on that note, this winter has actually been mind-blowing. We've had not one, but 2 big snow days in this winter season alone. Now, to give you an idea, in the past 7 to 10 years, I'd say it's snowed here maybe 4 times, 2 of which were just in the past 2 months. So we are getting blessed with some snow. I mean, if you live in Austin, you're used to temperatures going below freezing here and there. You might get a little sleet or just ice, but certainly not snow, at least very often. And this year's been amazing for that. So maybe it's a trend, maybe not. But with winters, you can expect it to be, I'd say 30s and 40s at the coldest, sometimes the high 20s. And then of course your summers on the other end of the spectrum, hundreds or high 90s. But those are just the extremes. And the rest of the year, it's pretty well balanced. You have plenty of days in the 50s and 60s, plenty of days in the 70s and 80s, and a lot of people come here for that. Another reason why people move to Austin, better traffic. Now, I've lived in California myself. I can't claim to be a lifer. I mean, I was only there for about a year. And yes, I lived in Los Angeles, so it was, you know, the worst of the worst in regards to traffic. But here in Texas, first of all, it's so big. And second of all, the traffic's just better here. It flows. Yeah, you'll have your typical rush hour, but even with rush hour, you can go from the heart of downtown all the way up to the suburbs in, say, maybe 40 minutes, an hour max, barring major wrecks and things of that nature. But if you're not going in rush hour, it just free flows, and the speed limits are high and it's less densely populated, so you can go from point A to point B with no rush hour in half an hour. And on that note, the vibe here is very laid back. People who live in Austin, Texas, or Texas in general, tend to be pretty happy people. You know, we've been on numerous polls of people that are happiest, you know, happiest places to live, most content. Austin is on a bunch of those, and it's for good reason. You know, the vibe here, I mean, first of all, Matthew McConaughey epitomizes the vibe of Austin, Texas. And he's from here, so it makes sense. People tend to be warmer here. People tend to be happier here. It's just kind of calmed down, it's spaced out. And I can say, you know, living in Los Angeles, specifically Pasadena, people, of course, were nice. I'm being general, you know, you find that anywhere in the world, nice people, mean people. But generally speaking, in that Los Angeles area, people were less friendly, they were less warm. It was more about me, myself, and I, get out of my way, I'm doing my thing. And that's the nature of the city, of course, I understand that. But here in Austin, it's just so different. And that's something I missed a lot about Austin when I was living in California. And so when you move here, you find, whoa, you know, freeways are open, people are kind, they let you in. It's just a nice atmosphere. You have the benefits of the big city if you want to live in the metro area, but you have also the benefits of living in Texas, and there's such Texan pride, and that just makes it a huge reason people come here as well. Another big reason people like it here, Neil Diamond. Just kidding, he's from Brooklyn. But alcohol, coffee, food, all of that good stuff. People in Texas love to drink. Not irresponsibly, but it's just part of the culture here. So much so that one of my favorite things about Texas is Specs. Now, Specs is a Texas-owned liquor store. It's affordable, it's big, it has anything you want. And we also have our Total Wines. Now, Total Wine is not unique to Texas, but what is unique to Texas in relation to Total Wine is how big they are. About 15 minutes from where I live, where there used to be a Toys R Us, it is now a Total Wine, which I think is full circle, because as a child, Toys R Us is Toys R Us, right? And Total Wine, when you're an adult, is like an adult Toys R Us. So, full circle. And it's humongous, and so is Specs, and so are all these places that sell booze, because it's such a big part of the culture here. In Austin, Texas, you have too many breweries to count. So if you like craft beer, you'll be happy here. As far as independent food places, you find that more central to Austin. We're big on tacos. I know Californians claim that they're big on tacos, so it's like taco versus taco, but we have some pretty great tacos. But not just that, we have all kinds of independent foodie places that are very family friendly, very trendy, very delicious, as well as some amazing coffee shops. So really, if you're into booze, if you're into coffee, if you're into food, Austin is a great place for that. You know, it's a growing city. People come all the time, and one of the big draws, if it's not the music scene, if it's not the weather, if it's not things to do, it's places to go, have a coffee, have a beer, have a bite to eat. So in addition to cost of living, in addition to food, booze, and coffee, in addition to nice weather, we're also huge. And what I mean by that is, okay, I admit, we're not gonna have the mountains that California has. We're not gonna have the beaches that California has. Unless you wanna go to Galveston or Corpus Christi or South Padre Island, but those are Texas beaches. In my opinion, having been to California, it's no contest, but we do have beaches. Anyways, back to the topic of size. It's so big that there's so much land, which is my point. There are so many things to do outdoors here. You have your canoeing, you have your cycling, you have paddle boarding, you have hiking, a never-ending abundance of activities to do outdoors while you're enjoying the weather. And something else I want to touch on that I've kind of mentioned briefly is the people here are just so friendly. You know, when you're entering Texas, you'll see drive friendly, the Texan way. Oh, you know, in the past few days, everyone here has been snowed in Austin. There have been power outages, there have been people losing their water. And if you're from a place where it snows a lot, you're gonna think, well, why can't you handle the snow? Fair point, but a lot of Texans say, we'd like to see you handle triple digits for 3 months. No, but on a serious note, these areas are just not made to withstand the winter. Houses here are meant to cool people off. Everything comes with an AC. Roads are not built or designed for people driving in snow and ice. And so as a result of that, so many Austinites and Texans in the past few days, I'm sure if you've heard of the snowstorms, have been snowed in. They can't go anywhere. But because we're Texans and we're so friendly, you go on Facebook or one of these apps and you're connected to your community, and there's people saying, hey, who needs a shovel? Or hey, I've got some booze in my house. Who needs what? I've got vodka and gin. Another guy will comment, hey, I've got whiskey and rum. Come by and pick it up. People have said, you know, I'm at HEB, I'm at Target. What do you need? I'll buy it for you. Real life stories, like I kid you not, you know, that's been the experience here. And there's a real sense of community, of pride and of camaraderie between people. You know, I've heard people say, hey, come on over, we're having a party, you know, but they can't go to work. So that gives you an idea of what the culture is here in the South. And so all in all, it's just a chill, fun place to live. The traffic is significantly better. There's lots to do here. The weather's nice, but most of all, it's just the cost of living. It's just drastically cheaper to live here. It'll make your life so much easier. I'm thirsty. And again, if you're thinking of moving here, not just from California, but from anywhere, we get tons of reach outs a month, and we love helping people find the right dream home, the right area, the right place to fit their lifestyle. And we do so many videos about living here in Austin, Texas. So if you're new to the channel, again, subscribe to see more, hit the like button to support the channel. So if you're thinking about moving or relocating here, you gotta reach out. Days, nights, weekends, call us, text us, email us, any day of the week, any time of day. However you want to get a hold of us, we've got your back when moving to Austin, Texas. And until the next video, we'll catch you later. So good, so good, so good. Sweet Caroline.